Before we dive into this harrowing story, make sure to subscribe to Crimes Through Time. And if you enjoy uncovering history's darkest crimes, give this video a like. It helps others find these forgotten tales. Now, let's step back into 1933 to a train station platform in Kansas City, where bullets rained, legends fell, and the FBI would never be the same again. It was the morning of June 17, 1933. In Kansas City, Missouri, the sun was climbing above Union Station, glinting of the long steel rails that carried America's heartland from one city to the next. It was an ordinary Saturday for most passengers shuffled about. Trains hissed and clattered, and porters shouted arrivals and departures. But for a small convoy of federal agents and lawmen, this day was anything but ordinary. They were there to transfer one of America's most wanted men, Frank "Jelly" Nash, from local custody to a federal prison. Nash was a notorious bank robber, a veteran of the outlaw era that had followed Prohibition. He'd been caught, escaped, and caught again, a slippery figure who had spent nearly half his life behind bars. For the Bureau of Investigation, the precursor to the FBI, this was a proud moment. Nash's capture was a victory, proof that federal law enforcement could handle the gangsters that had humiliated local police across the country. But what they didn't know was that someone else had been watching and planning. At around 7:15 a.m., as Nash was escorted across the parking lot toward the station, everything seemed calm. The lawmen among them, Special Agent Raymond Caffrey of the Bureau, Detectives Grooms and Hermanson, and Chief Otto Reed of Macasta, Oklahoma, surrounded their prisoner with cautious pride. Nash was handcuffed, silent, his hat pulled low. Moments later, a black Chevrolet sedan rolled slowly into the lot. Inside were at least 3 men armed, waiting. According to witnesses, one man stepped out holding a Thompson submachine gun, the infamous Tommy gun of the gangster era. Another carried a Winchester rifle. What happened next unfolded in less than 30 seconds, but it would echo for decades. Oh, one of the gunmen shouted. The lawman barely had time to turn. Then came the roar of automatic gunfire, sharp, deafening, relentless. Muzzle flashes lit the air. Bullets tore through the parking lot, striking cars, shattering glass, cutting through metal and bone. Chief Reed went down instantly. Agents Caffrey, Grooms, and Hermanson were hit moments later. Nash, the man they were guarding, was riddled with bullets, dying before he could move. Witnesses said the gunfire was so intense that the entire front of the station seemed to erupt. When it stopped, 5 men lay dead or dying, and the attackers sped off in their car, leaving behind chaos, blood, and silence. In the aftermath, the ground was littered with shell casings, 45 caliber, and .351 rounds, and the acrid smell of gunpowder hung heavy in the humid morning air. Police and federal agents swarmed the scene. Within hours, the newspapers had their headline, "Massacre at Kansas City. Gangsters ambush federal agents." The country was stunned. It wasn't just another shootout, this was an assault on law enforcement itself. For the Bureau of Investigation, it was a humiliation and a wake-up call. At that time, federal agents didn't even have the legal authority to carry guns or make arrests. They were, in many ways, investigators, not enforcers. But now, with 4 dead agents and 1 dead prisoner, that was about to change. At first, the government believed that the ambush was organized to free Frank Nash, that his old associates had staged a daring rescue. The name that immediately came to mind was Charles "Pretty Boy" Floyd, one of the most infamous bank robbers of the Depression era. Floyd was known for his good looks, charm, and love of fast cars, and for his willingness to shoot it out when cornered. The Bureau quickly blamed Floyd and his partner Adam Ricchetti for the massacre. But even then, doubts crept in. Some witnesses swore they saw Floyd's face. Others weren't so sure. What was certain was that the killers had known exactly where and when Nash would be. And that meant there had been a leak. The investigation into the Kansas City Massacre became one of the largest manhunts in FBI history. Agents followed trails from Missouri to Oklahoma, interviewing outlaws, informants, and families of known gang members. They turned up a web of connections, and one name in particular, Vernon Miller. Miller was a former sheriff turned criminal, a man who'd walked both sides of the law. It was soon discovered that Miller had been seen with Nash before his capture, and that he'd recently been in Kansas City. Investigators concluded that Miller had organized the ambush, possibly hiring Floyd and Ricchetti as muscle. But before the Bureau could arrest him, Miller vanished. His body was found weeks later in a ditch in upstate New York, mutilated and frozen. Whoever had killed him had made sure he could never talk. The case continued to unravel. Floyd and Richetti were eventually cornered not for Kansas City, but for other crimes. Richetti was captured after a gunfight in Ohio. Floyd was gunned down by FBI agents and local police in a field in East Liverpool, Ohio, in 1934. Both denied any role in the massacre to the end, and even today, historians debate whether they were truly responsible. But regardless of who pulled the trigger, the Kansas City Massacre changed everything for the Bureau. J. Edgar Hoover, then a rising figure in Washington, sees the tragedy as proof that the Bureau needed more power. Within months, Congress granted agents the authority to carry firearms and make arrests. The Bureau was reborn stronger, deadlier, and soon to become one of the most formidable law enforcement agencies in the world, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The massacre also changed public perception. Until that moment, many Americans viewed gangsters as folk heroes, rebellious figures standing up to corrupt banks and prohibition laws. But after Kansas City, that illusion shattered. The public saw, for the first time, the cost of glamorized violence. The photos of blood-soaked agents on the station platform ended the era of romantic outlaws. The Bureau began its transformation. It upgraded training, standardized weapons, and established forensic laboratories. The modern FBI was born not from triumph, but from tragedy. As for the victims, they became symbols of sacrifice. Special Agent Raymond Caffrey, just 29 years old, left behind a wife and child. Chief Otto Reed had served in law enforcement for decades. Detectives Hermanson and Grooms were local heroes who died doing their duty. They were honored with a solemn ceremony, and their names etched into the FBI's memorial wall. Union Station itself carried the scars for years. Locals whispered about the echoes of gunfire, the blood that once stained the pavement. But eventually, the station was restored, becoming a proud landmark and a reminder of one of the darkest mornings in the city's history. Today, historians still question what really happened in those 30 seconds. Was it truly a rescue gone wrong, or a botched plan fueled by misinformation? Was the Bureau's blame on Pretty Boy Floyd a case of political convenience or justice served? Whatever the truth, the Kansas City Massacre stands as a grim turning point, when a nation learned that crime was no longer a romantic rebellion, but a deadly war on order itself. As one reporter wrote in the days after, "The blood on the pavement at Union Station is the line that divides the old America from the new." Thank you for watching Crimes Through Time. If this story fascinated you, hit the like button and subscribe for more journeys into history's darkest crimes and forgotten tragedies. And tell us in the comments, do you think Pretty Boy Floyd was truly guilty? Or was he framed to save the FBI's reputation? We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.